Bullinger moves on in, and he scores! He's gonna learn today.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Pod Street Bullies. My name is Derek.
And I am John. What's going on, everybody?
And this week, we are joined by none other than Matt. If I get your last name incorrect, I apologize. It's Hoaglander?
Hoagland,
not Hoaglander, like Highlander. I'm thinking back to like
Hoagieland.
Hoagieland, okay. Like,
Yep.
what was that, Blimpie or something, the sub place? No one's heard of a
that
Blimpie?
one.
No one's heard of a Blimpie?
You're gonna make this guy leave. You understand that, right?
Okay,
He's
all right,
like,
we're done.
the hell with this.
We're done.
Nah.
Screw your contest. I'm out.
All right, then enough with the sidetracks, folks. We've got a nice show planned for you here today. If I can stop fumbling over my words, we've got the game recaps here with Matt. We've got some other topics we're going to touch on later, but we're going to get down right to business, and we're going to start with the first game of last week. First game of last week came against Florida on the 19th, and it wasn't the prettiest of games. There was a few bright spots, aka like one bright spot, and it ended up with a puck over Bobrovsky's shoulder. But I will say no more. And Matt, I want you to tell me. Let's start with the negatives. What's one thing you saw? I guess that glaring negative.
That was just a brutal loss to the Panthers. I think we definitely could have played a little bit better than we did, especially having Morgan Frost come in with his first game. But definitely brutal. I wish we came away with a win, but they just kept freaking shooting pucks on us and killing. Who was in net? Carter Hart, I think. Right?
I
He got pulled
believe
that night.
so. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that was a brutal loss.
anything negative for you, John?
The whole damn game. I mean, seriously though, like, you had Travis Sanheim start off the game with a goal, and then it was just all downhill from there. By the time you get to Morgan Frost, like, the game's over. You just can't be having that right now. The Panthers are a whatever team. I mean, I guess, they're talented, but I'll never really respect them completely because they're the Florida Panthers, and maybe that's just me being a jerk. But you can't lose games like this. It's just all of a sudden they piled it on and we stunk.
He also can't respect a team that can't really fill their stadium either. Anybody see that? I mean, that had to be that's atrocious.
Empty.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's probably a packed night too for them.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, can we sidebar? How ugly is their logo?
the
Ugh.
Panthers?
Yeah,
I don't think it's that bad. Like, there's uglier
Dude.
ones out there.
it's like a Lion King knockoff. Like, I don't even think that's a panther.
Okay, I can see it.
It looks like what's Simba's mom's name?
Nala.
Mojave or whatever.
Nala.
No, I
Where
don't
did
think
you
it's
get
Nala.
It's Nala.
No, Nala's the girlfriend, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah,
What?
it's
Yeah.
Mojave.
Mojave. I think you're wrong, but whatever. We're gonna keep going. Sorry, I haven't gotten my Disney Plus subscription yet, so
Oh well, I gave you the login. Get on it.
I'm
Anyway.
getting there. But yeah, so if we're gonna move on, positives. What kind of positives can we draw from this game, Matt?
Morgan Frost, his first NHL goal. It was a damn pretty one at that.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, I had just gotten off the phone call with one of my best friends, and he's like, "How's Frost doing?" I was like, "Oh, he's out there." And as soon as we get off the phone, boom, he scores that beautiful goal. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here we go! This kid's the real deal." I'm excited for what he has to offer to this team now.
Oh, that's something you
So-
see from like a 10-year vet, that type of goal. I mean, that was
Exactly.
amazing. I'm assuming, John, you can concur with us here. That's probably the one positive.
Oh yeah, I mean, and to go a little bit further, the kid looked like an NHL player.
Absolutely.
I mean, typically you get these little bumps in the road. I mean, you could see that with Farabee, right? Yeah, he looked good, but you could still tell he was trying to kind of get his skates under him. But Frost just looked like a natural out there.
He did. He looked really good. Now, obviously, again, they lost that game, which sucked. But we move on to the next game against Carolina, and they won that game, which, thank God. Matt, let's start with the positives about this one because we won the game. So let's just keep with the, the happy moment, and let's just talk some positives because we'll get to the negatives later.
Definitely. So the best thing about that game was, that first line. They just went out there and killed it. 9 points. Giroux just went nuts, and Morgan Frost once again just sniping off the shorthanded draw. That was. Again, he looks like an NHLer. He does not look like a 20-year-old kid just going out there and playing hockey. He looks like an NHLer going nuts. So that line of G, TK, and Frost, that line just exploded. And it was awesome.
It was a thing of beauty, honestly. And John, I'm assuming you can agree with that as well. Did you draw any other positives from it from the game?
Well, we were able to eliminate a 2-goal deficit. You don't see that every day, right? Typically, when this team faces adversity, it's all downhill from there. But we were able to be on the other side of a comeback, which was quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, falling down that early too. It's one of those nights where I'm within inches of just clicking the remote off, and I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. Amazing night from the first line. Giroux, 2 goals, 2 assists. Konechny had 3 assists, and then you've got Frost with the goal and the assist. And the assist, wow, what a feat!
I know.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Just so pretty, silky, just silky.
A 20-year-old kid that has that patience to just step out from behind the net and just have that patience just to kind of give it across. That was, oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Unbelievable.
I know, and it gets you so excited. I mean, for this kid, as if you weren't excited before. Something like that happens, and you're like, "Damn."
Yeah.
So, without trying to really kill the mood, we're going to talk negatives here. Is there one negative that you saw that stuck out to you, Matt?
Going down 2-0 early in the first. That was brutal. Like you guys said, it was kind of like the Flyers of old, where you're like, do I really want to watch this game after going down 2-0? But then we had that resiliency and just kept fighting and kept going hard on the net and shooting pucks. But you can't go down 2-0 early in the first. But again, that's the Flyers of old. It seems like that this year it's not that original anymore.
Yeah. How about you, John?
The same.
Same thing.
I mean, yeah, no, you can't go down 2 goals that early. I mean, it's going to happen, but it's never good. Yeah. If I had a worse day at work, I probably would have turned off the game.
Yeah, I hear you. So, moving on to the last game of the week, we're going to touch on here with Calgary. Another shootout. I'm getting so sick and tired of these things. Oh, man.
Can we start a petition? Do you think if we get enough signatures, we could get the NHL to stop with these stupid shootouts?
You really think Bettman's going to listen, though? Come on.
Just for Flyer games. I mean, I think he might be into it.
I'm on board.
Here's a fun little thought. So these guys called the Pod Street Bullies, they decided this rule. We're only for Flyer games. We don't have shootouts. What do you think, guys?
Would you retire your damn Bettman voice already? Good God.
I can't, Derek. It's fabulous.
You suck. Okay, let's get the negatives out of the way because we all know the negatives. So Matt, tell us your negative from this game here.
Another shootout loss. Also, we get up 2-1 late in the third and we let up another bad goal. Like, come on. Like, you can't let that happen late in the third when you're up 2-1 and you're about to get those 2 points. Like, we have to get the 2 points. We can't let up a point. Yeah. Especially in these stands of the Metro and the East. It's such a competitive division and conference right now.
Yeah, every point matters. I mean, obviously, but at the same rate, like you said, with the division being this tight, every point is crucial. And imagine if it were Carolina or Florida they're giving that extra point to. That could come back to bite them. It was a Western Conference opponent, so it's not as big of a deal, but still not the greatest. John, your negatives, my man.
Well, yeah, I mean, we outplayed this team for most of the game, and we only have a 2-1 lead. And then give it up. I mean, this is a game that we should have been up 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. I mean, the fact that we were even in that position stinks. Mm-hmm. It's like the Flyers are playing down to their competition. Yeah, it frustrated me, man. Ruined my Saturday afternoon.
I'll give it to him though. Riddick had a pretty good game in net. Like, I mean, if it weren't for him, like you said, it'd be a 5-6-1 game for the Flyers.
Right.
But man, was he good.
Still have to win that game, man. I mean, like, those are the points where you're going to look back and go, God, if we had that one extra point, we wouldn't be in this position.
You're right.
Nope.
I'll be honest too, and I'm going to sidebar for a second. John and I were texting back and forth during this game because Penn State was playing as well, and as most of you know, I'm a big Penn State fan. I turned off the Penn State game to watch the Flyers game. As soon as I turned off the Penn State game, they rallied back and almost tied it up. And so I turned on the Penn State game, and that's when Voracek scored the first goal for the Flyers. So John's like, turn on the History Channel and don't touch the dial. I didn't listen,
Right.
and both teams lost. So
Right. Everybody loses in American Pickers, so you could just keep that on,
yeah,
or
There you
Ice
go.
Truckers, or whatever the hell.
ugh,
History
I was so mad. That was like the day that I just could not win. But let's end on a positive note. Calgary game, positives. Matt, go.
Voracek finally scores. He finally gets a goddamn goal, man. Gets number 200 at for five. Like, it was what 12 or 13 games that he hadn't scored for that number 200, which was awesome. You know, Hayes finally scored this goal. I know he got an empty netter a couple games before, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, 12
You know what I'm
games since his
saying?
last goal, 4 games without a point. I actually had it written down for an article I just wrote. So yeah, you're right.
Wow.
Bring it down for an article I just wrote. Sure. So,
Let's criticize the guy that does his homework here, you know? Okay. But anyways, positives for you, John.
aside from the Voracek and Hayes thing, nothing. This is a game that I want to be tough on this team for. This is a game you need to win. I don't care about the extra point, the overtime point. To me, this is still just a failure. This is a game the Flyers needed to win. They should have won because they played the better brand of hockey for most of the game, and they gave it up. So, sorry, boys. I'm not giving you a positive. Y'all suck.
You're right. I have nothing more to add to that. I think John really hit the nail on the head. I think Matt with the positives too. I love seeing Voracek finally score because that's what he's paid to do, and he's paid a pretty penny to do so.
Way too much.
Yes, a lot of money for that man to score 1 goal in 12 games. But and I apologize for this because I realized that like right as soon as we got to the first game, I never had you introduce yourself, Matt. So I apologize. So
Good
we're
job,
gonna kind of
jerk.
wrap that up with the finale and just can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where people can find you, anything else you'd like to disclose?
Sure. I'm Matt Hoagland. I'm currently living in the Boston area. Take that for what you may. I moved up here for work. I am a Philly fan for life.
Nice.
Born and raised in the Philadelphia suburbs. You can find me on Twitter at the Hoagie Fest, and I'm on Instagram at HoagieDude21. I will live and die by the Flyers.
Nice.
I love this team, and I will never become a Boston Bruins fan. That is for sure.
You're a good man. You're a good man, Matt. But hey, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you taking the time to kick out and have some fun with us here on the Pod Street Bullies and recap some games with us. And hopefully in the near future we can have you back on along with some of the other winners as well. But again, thank you for coming on, and I guess keep listening.
Just
to
say
us if you
goodbye,
really
Derek.
want
Just
to.
say goodbye now. Just
Yeah.
say goodbye.
Yeah, my apologies. Have a great night, Matt. Thank you very much, my man.
Bye, Matt. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me on. Let's go Flyers.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'm just like
What is with you and the saying goodbye stuff?
it's even worse today because I've got so much crap running through my head with this surgery going on tomorrow. In case you folks don't know, I'm getting my ACL repaired tomorrow, and I've never had surgery before, so I don't know like what I'm doing. And they're like, you can't eat after midnight, which I'm in bed by then anyway, but you can't eat when you wake up. You can only have 1 cup of coffee in the morning. You need to drink half of a Gatorade, this and that. It's ridiculous, and it's throwing me off.
Is this the first episode we're recording where you're not drinking a beer?
No, because when I had that migraine, I wasn't drinking either.
All right. Well, maybe while you're under the knife, they're gonna knock you out. I'm assuming, yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, they are.
Maybe you could subconsciously think about putting together better goodbyes.
Maybe you can subconsciously go bleep yourself. We're gonna move on here.
Sure, you don't want to just end it at that?
Well, if I end it, it's going to take 20 more minutes. So let's just keep rolling here. I'll form something between now and then. But first part of business here that we're going to get to, we want to talk about the obvious story of the week. It's been Morgan Frost. He's finally here. He's on the top line. He's producing. Everybody's happy. John, your overall take on Morgan Frost so far as a Flyer, if you could just summarize it quickly and just give it to me.
I mean, I've already kind of said it, but the guy is just proving he's an NHL hockey player. I mean, he looks so comfortable. The moves that he's making, it takes a level of confidence that some veterans won't even try to pull off. The fact that he was put on the top line, he's remaining on the top line, and he's succeeding on the top line. And he's making his line mates successful. Look what Giroux's been able to do now that he's partnered up with. To me, and I don't want to jump the gun on this because there's still a lot of hockey left, and he's eventually going to cool down. But to me, you have to be so excited about what this guy is bringing to this team right now.
Absolutely, and I want to take a second here to share with you our latest Instagram post. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but I think your wife is throwing some serious shade at you right now.
Oh, no.
I'm going to give you some time to check that out, but while I do...
I don't always ignore my wife, but when I do, it's because I'm recording a new episode of ISP.
This episode is just so off the rails right now. But if we are going to try to continue, I agree.
You did. By the way, you did that. You made this off the rails.
I did.
So, yes, Morgan Frost. Killing
it. Absolutely. Point per game so far. Obviously didn't have a point against Calgary, but I mean, what more do you want? We had Farabee up, and then he had that one game where it was like he should have had a goal and 2 assists, but Hayes was offsides twice, and now Frost is actually putting those points up early on, and it's so nice to see these rookies that we've been clamoring about for so long actually make it to the NHL and make an impact. And Frost is being put into a position to succeed. This would have never happened if Dave Haxall was still the head coach.
No.
God,
no. I mean, neither of these guys would be up here.
No.
We would have got, some 35-year-old signed him to like a 6-year, $3 million deal.
Yeah, we'd have ended up with like Nick Shore like everybody was clamoring about last year.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
His
but
metrics are so good.
What his in and out percentage is just amazing.
So is mine, but that's why I have a kid.
Hey. Anyway, what am I trying to say here? Okay, so Frost and Farabee, that's what I'm trying to talk about now, yes. Jerk. Both of these guys deserve to be with the big club, but it's such an interesting thing to see because you can kind of see the difference of the player and kind of what their development look like. I think Farabee's one of those guys where it's like you're going to put him on the third line, and every year he's going to start to get better, and it'll be like 20 points and then 35 points. Frost is one of those players that it seems like right off the bat he's just going to hit you with high point totals. Yeah. And they're different style players. I mean, Frost is much more of a finesse, smaller player, has a little bit more skill and playmaking ability.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to start to kind of move a little bit quicker than Farabee, but that doesn't mean that Farabee's going to be any worse.
Oh, yeah. Farabee definitely has a good defensive side to his game as well. I mean, it's
right.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a Sean Couturier type, but at the same rate, it's better to be decent at defense than just not be good at all, like in early years Ovechkin where he just played no defense.
Right.
Yeah. Now, with this production that he's giving us, are we going to be able to expect him to maintain this for a solid, and I'm not saying all year, but for like a solid stretch of games? Can he go 10 games and put up 10 points? Can he go 20 games and put up 15 to 20 points?
I don't think that should be anyone's expectation. I mean, when he produces points, that's great. And I think that he's going to be someone who produces a lot of points at the NHL level. But I think that what we can expect is for him to continue to make his line mates better. If he's not putting points up every night, but still helping Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier do what they got to do, then fine. He can do a lot of things without putting up the points. Obviously, he's not going to be a point-per-game player. That'd be crazy. I do think that he's going to calm down a little bit, but I do think that we can expect positives and nothing but positives. You might as well just be optimistic.
Now, going back to what you said about making people better, and I hate drawing this comparison because I don't like this guy, but Sidney Crosby. Think of over the years the line mates that he's had, that he has just made them 10 times better. Chris Kunitz can thank him for that beautiful contract he signed after the Penguins.
Right.
Guys like Jake Gensel, the list goes on. Connor Sheary, I believe, spent some time on that line with Crosby as well. Is that the type of player we should expect Frost to be? Maybe not, obviously, to Crosby's level, but I mean, if he's going to keep making people better around him.
3 words for you, brother. Pump the brakes. Because the kid's played 3 games. But no, I mean, what I have seen from him in junior and with the Phantoms, and at the World Juniors, the kid is just a natural playmaker. And typically players who are highly skilled in that area and smart like he is, they do make your line mates better. Now, is he going to be Sidney Crosby? I mean, if he is, without being such a pansy, then great.
Wonderful.
But, I mean, for right now, let's just
and
don't
get me wrong.
Because he's going to go tearing his ACL now that you just compared him to freaking Sidney Crosby.
Well, you know what? At least then he'll have somebody that can relate to him like me. So
there you go.
But, yeah, and in regards to that, I don't mean to say he's going to end up like a Sidney Crosby, but like that type of player, there are players like that around the league that aren't of Crosby's magnitude.
And I hope so. I don't really want to say at this point because it's only been 3 games, but I do think that early signs do point to the fact that, yes, I think he's going to be one of those people you can rely on to make players better around him.
For sure.
But we're also talking about Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier. We're not talking about Jake Gensel and Chris Kunitz, Yeah. I mean, these are guys who have had successful NHL careers, but just needed a little bit of a boost, especially Claude Giroux, and Morgan Frost has provided that for him.
You're right. And I guess to kind of cap this off and just to touch on it real quick, we talked about this a bit before too, where Farabee comes up. He's that shiny new toy, and everybody's excited. And now Frost is up, and he's that shiny new toy. And we've actually noticed that, and I'm going to pull it up here momentarily. I just want to take a look. But Farabee hasn't been producing much as of late. He's got 1 assist in 7 games, 2 and 8, and his points haven't really been there. His time on ice is dipped as well. Is Morgan Frost being up kind of distracting the fan base from Farabee's, if you want to call them, shortcomings, or is it just kind of, let's be happy that they're both here and they'll both adjust at their own rate?
Yeah, I think people are looking at it separately. I do think that Morgan Frost probably provides some sort of distraction because with him doing what he's doing, not many people are paying attention to Farabee hitting a few bumps in the road. But I think that, at least for me, right, there's an overall excitement with just the young people and kind of you're seeing the growth of this new regime already. You look at Konechny and Lindblom and Farabee, and now you've got Frost. It's just cool to kind of see these guys turning into what we were expecting, and a little bit more with someone like Lindblom.
Oh, of course. I mean, Lindblom was a 5th-round pick, and he's producing like he's, top, 1st or 2nd rounder.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think it overshadows. One thing I do want to find out is whether these Frost and Farabee kids are going to keep their jersey numbers, because I don't think I'm going to go buy a jersey unless somebody wants to get me a Christmas gift. I'd love a Morgan Frost jersey. You can hit me on the DMs for my sives. But this is just somebody where, I've been really just enamored by this kid since I started covering the prospects, and I'd love to cop some sort of merchandise, but it ain't gonna happen if the dude's gonna change his number after the end of the season.
I like it. I like 48. I mean, Danny Briere.
Especially 48 and 49, Frost and Farabee. Come on now.
I mean, hey, I'm not
Then you,
against it.
then you bring somebody else up who's young and make him a 40 something, and they could be the 40s line. That 40 show.
That's cute.
Did you see that one? Did you see that show?
I didn't.
Yeah, it only made half an episode.
No, number wise, I mean, I don't really care. I tend to try to
All right,
buy
fine.
the jerseys that.
Who are you then?
All right. Hey, fair enough. I tend to get the jerseys of guys that are already retired, so I don't worry about him getting traded because my mom bought a Talbot jersey, and it was the year before he switched from 27 to 25, and then they traded.
Mom bought
him.
a Talbot jersey?
She loved Max Talbot when he was a Flyer. Loved him. And so she got pissed off because he changed his number, and then she bought a Tiemann Winter Classic jersey, and they traded Tiemann. So I told her it was the year that, LeCavalier and Luke Shen were playing terrible, and I was just like, hey, one of those two, you should get one of their jerseys. Maybe they'll get traded next.
Seriously.
It didn't work, but
Yeah.
I tried. Now, moving on from Frost, if there's anything else you'd like to add, we're good on the Frost front.
Frost-
Perfect.
Frost on the Frost front.
Can we call it a cold front?
Oh, shut up.
Are the Flyers a different team? We've talked about this between us. We've talked about it between everybody at PSN. We go from having a team that just played turtle. When they were facing any type of adversity in a game, they just retracted into their shell and just essentially gave up. And now we're looking at a team that had big comeback wins against Columbus. They came back against Carolina the other night. But they're also still showing signs of being that team that folded when the pressure mounted.
And when you're talking about that team, Derek, you're talking about the Hextall years?
The Hextall years, yes.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the reasons that we have talked about this in the past is because this is a conversation that seems to be happening now. When we give up these bad losses, when we, are up 2 goals and then we let teams come back and win, it seems like that level of mediocrity all over again. And when you think of mediocrity, you think of Hextall and Hackstall. They are pretty much the king and queen of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And is this team different? I mean, that's the big question. I do think that they are different, but the only way you're really going to show that is through wins. And right now, this team's not winning enough.
You're right. And I think the biggest difference that I've noticed, and I'm sure many others have, the Flyers last year were ranked 26th in the league with a 78.5% rate on their power play. So far this year, they're ranked 6th, and they've made a jump to 85.5%. Now,
oh wow,
it's incredible. It's great. I'm trying to look here. I'm looking for penalty kills here. There's no way they're 100%. I don't know. All I know is that they've made a big leap in the penalty kill as well.
Right.
It's just, I mean, wow. That was the one thing going into the season that I was touting, because I'm like, every year that Vigneault takes over a team, they always do better on special teams. And it's not just Vigneault. It's Mike Yeo.
Right.
It's Therrien as well. It's a great team effort. And it starts with special teams. If you can't score on the power play, there's a big problem. If you can't kill penalties, there's a big problem. This team is most definitely different. It's not, but on that end of the puck.
Right. But the thing is, man, not a lot of people are going to view this team as different if the record is going to look similar, if the finished product is going to look similar. We can look at the PK and the power play, but if we don't make the playoffs, they're just going to view this team just like the years past.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Push in the playoffs.
Right. I think the biggest thing for me that stands out that's different is this group of management and coaching isn't complacent. If you look in the past with Ron Hextall and Dave Hackstall, they it was just like, this is the team we're putting out. We're not going to call up anybody. We're not going to make any moves. We're just going to ride it out and see what happens. We feel comfortable with this. And Chuck Fletcher and Alain Vigneault this early have shown that they're going to do whatever it takes, tinker the roster, the lines, to make this team better. I mean, look at all the call-ups. I feel like every other day we're getting notifications that somebody's getting called up from Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
You know, it's something crazy. I had like 7 or 8. A bunch of them have played their first games in the NHL. I mean, that alone just shows a completely different culture. And no, the results aren't there yet, but you like to think that the level of activeness that's kind of coming from this team is it's eventually going to pan out.
It's a proactive approach, and it's something fans aren't used to because so long we've gone with these rosters where Brandon Manning's your 6th defenseman, and then or 7th defenseman, whatever, and he plugs in, and you go with Gostisbehere sitting in the press box. You go with guys like Sanheim in the press box over Manning. You've got Dale Weiss, Jori Lehtera taking spots on the roster from Oscar Lindblom, and so on and so forth. There is a proactive approach to the way Chuck Fletcher is doing this, and Vigneault for that matter, and it's refreshing. It's exactly like you said. It's so nice to see someone care, somebody in place that cares about winning now, as opposed to just stocking draft picks and stocking that cupboard and saying we're building for the future. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. It's like a kid. You're sitting in the car with your kid, like, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Right.
You know?
No, I mean, listen, I still get people's frustration, though. I mean,
for sure.
It's not necessarily that I thought this team was going to be leaps and bounds better than last year, but it's like the way that they're losing the games is making me go, God damn it, this is still happening. You know, that's the part that's driving me crazy. I'd rather lose 7-0 every night than give up these 2-3 goal leads.
It's demoralizing.
Oh,
God.
I'm way too bothered by this Calgary game.
I know. I can tell.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like because it was one of those where I really had nothing else to do, and it was the middle of the day on a Saturday. I wasn't tired. I was just going to enjoy this game, and then poop.
Yeah, so much for that.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's, you know, again, it's definitely a different team. But like you said, if the result remains the same, therefore the team remains the same in the eyes of the fans, and that's not a good thing right now.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We are going to be testing out some new stuff here. We're going to talk more so a broad spectrum of hockey. We're going to talk what's going on around the NHL. Every week, each of us are going to pick a big story, dissect it, break it down a little bit, not too in-depth, but just give you the gist and our opinions. This week, we've got 2 hot topics that we're going to touch on here, and the hottest of topics that have happened this week is John's story. So, John, enlighten the listeners.
Well, I mean, everybody knows now, I'm assuming, because you only listen to this podcast unless you like hockey. I mean, unless you really like our deep, raspy voices. I can't imagine anybody really does. But Mike Babcock being fired by the Toronto Maple Leafs, holy stromboli. And you know it's all my fault.
Way to go.
Did I tell you this?
You did. I did. I think I saw your tweet about it.
Yeah, I just got finished reading his book. I can't even leave no doubt. Really good book. I mean, the guy's a smart dude, you know, and he's got a great mentality. But regardless, he couldn't crack it. I mean, Toronto's been off to a disappointing start. They were 9-10-4 when he was fired. You know, they missed the playoffs his first year, but they weren't that good. And then they went to the playoffs the next 3. The problem is they weren't getting out of the first round. And you look at this team, you look at this roster, this has got to be a team that's taking you deep into the playoffs. I mean, John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Nylander, Marner, Freddie Anderson has been a great goalie since he's joined Toronto.
Even their role players. I mean,
right.
You get Kasperi Kapanen, Andreas Janssen, you know, wow. That's a deep team.
You know, and Mike Babcock is a coaching legend. He's somebody that should be getting this team over the hump, and it wasn't working. You know, now things are coming out about kind of how he treated his players. You had sent something to me before, and I'm trying to look for it. Oh, it's about he 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 told Mitch Marner, I guess it came out that it was Mitch Marner, to like rank, was it the work ethic, the hardest working players on the team.
Yep.
And then he went and told all those players, which
That's, man.
You know,
oh.
the thing is, like, I think, from reading his book and kind of his mentality, I think that Mike Babcock represents just a style of coaching in the game that's just not the best anymore. I think that the game continues to evolve, and he relied on veteran presences. I mean, he relied on people who had matured and become the players that they were used to being. I mean, look at those teams in Detroit.
Oh.
They weren't young by any means.
But they were dynasties, too. I mean, he had some phenomenal talent on those teams.
Right. I just think that his level of accountability, just kind of the way that he maneuvers things, might not be the best. I mean, this is not somebody who is close to Mike Babcock or has any idea of any of that stuff. But,
you guys don't go
maybe
underwater basket weaving?
Nah, he's not into it, man.
Nah.
He did it for a few weeks. AV tried convincing him, but no, he's more of a I can't think of anything. No, I tried. But no, I mean, seriously, like it stinks that he couldn't get this team further. I've always liked Mike Babcock. It's always neat to just have kind of living legends in the sport that you like, somewhere are going to do well, unless their name's Tom Brady. But
I'm extra salty about that today.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's just he'll get another job. He's not done, but I'm curious to see kind of what his next job looks like, because like I said, I think that he kind of likes that proven talent. And nowadays it's more about bringing up the younger guys. It's all about the kids. It's become a very ageist game. It'll be interested to see if he can adapt.
I mean, when you think about it, if he's going to find another job with a team that is ready-made to make a run in the playoffs, if Tampa doesn't win a cup or even get close, is he taking over for Cooper?
But could you see him? Remember what happened with Bruce Boudreau, where he was like fired by not Bruce Boudreau.
Not Boudreau.
I'm thinking of the other bald fella, Claude Julien.
Yep.
Sorry there, Claude. Or Bruce. I don't know who's offended. But what happened with him? I mean, he got fired by Boston, and then Montreal went and fired Terry and was like, "Hey, come on over, Claude." I wonder if there'd be a team that does that, come December, which is like a week away.
It could end up being a Vigneault Tortorella type thing, where Vancouver fires Vigneault and New York fires Tortorella, and they just switch teams.
Just switcheroo.
That'd be something.
No, I mean, but you could tell like the Leafs were high on this guy Keefe for a while. I mean, you knew that Dubas, this was who he wanted, and Babcock had a short leash, and it almost just played right into Dubas's hands. Like, okay, this isn't working. We're moving on.
I mean, Keefe was rumored for a lot of coaching positions last offseason, but Montreal retained his rights for not Montreal, good Lord, Toronto retained his rights to coach the Marlies. But yeah, it shocked me that they sacked Babcock, but at the same rate, when you're not getting the results out of a team like that, it makes some sense. And then you see something like that come out about what he did to Marner, and it's like, oh boy, that's risky business right there.
I just, if he did some questionable things, I guess they should be brought to light. But at the same time, this guy has had such a great legacy. I don't want to see too much where it's like all of a sudden we just get this flood of, he was giving wet willies to people in the locker room.
Yeah, and flipping the bird to fans like behind the bench and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Listen, did he probably make a mistake with Marner? Sure. But I don't know what his thought process was behind it,
Yeah. You'd have to think it's motivational.
Right, it's not ill will. So I just hope we don't get a flood of these things now. But we should probably move on.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the next hot topic. And the hot topic out of the NHL right now is suspensions. We had one earlier this week, or I should say late last week or this weekend, whenever it was. One happened before the other. And the one that happened first was Garnett Hathaway from the Caps was suspended 3 games, and he was suspended 3 games for spitting in an opposing player's face. I think it was Goodbranson that he did it to.
I think you're right.
Which is inexcusable. That's just
Yep.
like the lowest of the low. I mean, that's what happened when Bret Hart got screwed by Vince McMahon. Bret Hart spit in McMahon's face, and that was pure and raw. And I mean, no pun intended, obviously, but man, that like in some cultures, that's like the worst insult to somebody is to spit in their face.
I mean, first of all, I teach third grade, so there are very few things that I really.
That John really something, but we've lost him for a second here. I'm gonna. Yep, there we go. You're back. I apologize. My connection might be a bit spotty there.
That's fine. So I don't know what you heard, but anyway, I teach third grade,
Yeah.
and there's very few times I would yell at a kid, like actually yell at them, because I want them to learn from their mistakes. I had one student one year spit in a kid's face, because he thought it was funny, and I just put the fear of God into him, because it's disgusting. It's coming from your body and you're putting it on somebody else, and it's not funny. It's gross. I mean, I think he should have got more than 3 games.
It's a giant sign of disrespect. I mean, that's just I mean, I think Goodbranson had every right to go back after that guy, and I wish he would have landed more shots on him.
The referee should have let him go.
Yeah, at that point, if I was the ref, I'd have just said, "Hey, you get 30 seconds. Take
Right.
it."
It's disgusting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The second suspension we're going to talk about is Bortuzzo. Good God, dude! You've seen those gifs of the suspension that like the hit that caused the suspension. Did you see the one where he cross-checked Brock Nelson literally the same exact way that he did to Arvidsson as well?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
dude, that's vicious. That is,
Yeah, it's nasty.
that's intent to injure. That is malicious. That is just spiteful. And that, holy crap, that guy. You want to talk
What did
about
he get?
4 games?
4 games.
He's a repeat offender. Tom Wilson got 20 games for a hit to the head, and he's a repeat offender. Man, I'm not saying you need to give Bortuzzo 20, but 4 I feel like doesn't justify, because Arvidsson's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Honestly, I think there's a really easy way to solve that problem. You're suspended for as long as that guy's injured.
I like that. I really do.
I mean, talk about fairness. You miss 4 games, he's going to miss a month and a half. That's crap.
Yeah. Well, you saw Binnington after Arvidsson had a tough time getting up. He was in Binnington's crease, and Binnington gave him a nice little chop there. Not chop, but he hit him. And I'm like, dude, that guy is clearly injured, and you're going to just literally pour salt in the wound. Like,
I know.
what in the world? Everybody already thinks Binnington's a scumbag from tweets and all that crap back in the day, but
They're
they heard
coming
me.
to get you.
That's a fire engine. Unless my wife did something downstairs. She's
Smell anything?
probably... Nope, nothing. We're good.
All right.
But yeah, back to the suspensions, man. Bortuzzo's, I think, was... And this is tough because what Hathaway did was terrible, but Bortuzzo, man, I feel like that's more severe because that injures somebody. That hurts somebody and puts them out of commission.
You're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about, like, cross-checking like that shouldn't be in the game. And I get it, especially it seems like there was an intent to injure. But at least it was a hockey-type play / move type deal.
Yeah.
The spitting in the face thing, what? Like, there's nothing. I don't
Sirens
know.
are
I
throwing
mean,
me off.
it just really disgusts me. I'm one of those people who think that, that is the biggest insult. I mean, an insult doesn't even do it justice. I really think that's low. And
Yeah.
3 games, man. He should have got 10.
Yeah, and with the Bortuzzo thing, you see it. I mean, he cross-checked Arvidsson into the crossbar. Arvidsson goes down. Bortuzzo throws his hands up because he thinks that he dove. And then after that, he cross-checks him, I think, 2 or 3 times into the ice, like right in the small of the back.
Right.
I'm like, that's gutless, pal. That's gutless.
They should both just spend the rest of the season suspended, jackasses.
Yeah, get rid of them.
See ya.
Yeah. So another new segment we're going to introduce tonight is prospects, because John Gove here is the man when it comes to prospects, and we need to shine some light on the deep prospect pool that the Flyers have. So what we're going to do from here on out is every week each of us is going to pick a prospect, and we're going to talk about it. And basically it's kind of who's hot now and who's doing well. And we've got two guys lined up here that we want to talk about. And going by what I see in the Google Doc, we've got two blue liners that we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, you didn't put anything in the doc. You keeping that to yourself?
Shock value, baby.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So
I can start if you'd like, since you started the last one.
sure, go for it, man.
So I wanted to touch on somebody else, but I couldn't pass this up. Yegor Zamula.
All right.
Zamula has been one of the highly touted prospects since the Flyers signed him. He's been tearing up the WHL with the Calgary Hitmen. His first season, he played 31 games with them and had 11 points, which, okay, whatever. Last season, he erupted. 56 points in 61 games. This season is much the same tune. He's got 23 points in 22 games, 6 goals, 17 assists. The kid is an offensive machine on that blue line in Calgary. And, man, I'll tell you what. Next year, it's been tough because we don't necessarily have that depth that we used to on the blue line. But with a guy like Zamula coming over and a guy like who you're going to touch on here coming over, hopefully, man, I think that if not the Phantoms, the Flyers are in a good spot with these prospects coming up through the pipeline. Not to mention, you got Cam York, who's still, playing at Michigan right now.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, Zamula's been great, and for mine, we didn't really go too far. We're staying in the same league. And I really didn't want to pick this kid because I feel like I'm kind of a fanboy when it comes to this guy. I'm always giving him high praise.
Leader of the Wiley fan club.
I know. I didn't say his name yet. Thanks for spoiling it.
My bad.
Jerk. I mean, there's no other defenseman in the WHL that's a Flyers prospect. But whatever. But, I mean, I can't help it. So this kid, he doesn't get signed to his entry-level contract this past, after training camp. Gets sent back, and I really don't think he should have been sent back, but he's making the most of his opportunity. I mean, 7 goals and 15 assists in 22 games, 4 goals on the power play. He had 2 goals, I believe, last night, and he had a 3-point weekend. He's just playing like somebody who has something to prove. What he can do on the offensive side of the ice just fits this style of hockey in the NHL. You need blue liners who can produce offense. Wyatt Wiley has that. I mean, and he's also disciplined on the defensive side of things. It's just great to see that he hasn't taken a step back because of kind of that knock to his psyche of not getting that entry-level contract when he probably deserved it. And if he keeps this up, there's no way the Flyers can have to sign him. If they let him go, they're idiots.
I agree. I have nothing more to add to that because I agree with everything you just said. You really swayed me, and you were the guy I was paying the most attention to with the prospects because you just raved about Wiley here. And, I mean, the kid his defensive game is rounding out as well. He's playing much better on that end of the puck. His offensive game was always there, but it's getting even better. And it just makes it that much more confusing as to why he's not in Lehigh Valley, especially with the problems they have having to sit veterans every game or so, and they rotate them in and out. It's like that kid could have easily slotted into that lineup over, Reese Wilcox or Bigras and Wotherspoon are good. Wotherspoon had a great weekend, but, I don't care about guys that aren't going to be with the Flyers. I'm starting to trend towards your train of thought here.
Right. I mean, to me, it made no sense. I mean, I've said that before. It made no sense. And my opinion was that Chuck Fletcher just wasn't interested in signing him and that, he wouldn't end up getting signed. But if he keeps this up, he has to.
Yo, newsflash.
What?
Iron Man Bobby Haig has an assist.
Yeah, boy. Oh,
That's our
1-1.
guy. Yeah. Couturier, Voracek, and Haig had the assists on that. So all you guys out there that say we favor Robert Haig, there it is. He's producing.
I don't want to be linked to people who favor Robert Haig. I just like calling him Iron Man Bobby Haig. Don't put me in that. I don't want anything to do with that. It's like the people we have on, we're just like, oh, we know you're big Haig guys. No, I'm not a big Haig guy. I just like saying Iron Man Bobby Haig. That's it.
That's the
all.
hill I'm dying on. That's the hill I'm taking a stand on. Iron Man Bobby Haig. And that's the only reason I want him to be a Flyer, so we can continue to refer to him as such. All right, well, we've reached that point in the show where we've ran out of things to talk about.
Never, brother.
You're right. We could go on and on and on, but good Lord, we'd bore you guys. But before we go, we want to talk about a business opportunity for you, a friend or family member, to advertise with us on the Pod Street Bullies. If you or someone you know wants to advertise for a company, please shoot us a DM, an email. Our email is in our Twitter bio for the podcast's Twitter account. We can cut a commercial with my thrifty editing abilities. You could voice it over. We'll figure something out with it. Contact us, let us know. We can work something out with you folks. We know we're not doing that. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break from the contest.
What, like a commercial break?
Not a commercial break. No, we don't do those yet. I haven't cut any of those yet. We'll get there, though, once we have people that want to advertise with us. But anyways, we're going to take a break from the contest that we've been holding, and it's no indictment on the guests that we've had because they've been super to this point. We're just going to focus with these new segments. We want to talk more hockey. We are being selfish.
Well, I mean, and we don't want to run out of people that do these contests, so we'll probably just start doing it every other week.
Yeah, because let's be honest, we've got about 7 fans and we've already had 4 people on, so it's tough to, space that out. So Ben will probably be on in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then it'll just start the rotation over again. But in all seriousness, no, there's just a lot more to talk about hockey-wise right now because we're really getting into the thick of things. And, I think as a hockey podcast, that's what you want to talk about. We can recap the games, but you've already seen them. It's
right.
We're just going to start touching on them real quick and then get to some good stuff. But other than that, John, for the 40th something time on this show, please let us know where we can find you.
I actually have one more thing I want to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I typically don't do this, so I'm not be very good at it.
Oh, Lord.
But
podcasting?
Well, no, I mean, I'm probably not very good at that either. I still don't know how I wound up on it. But it being the time of year that it is, I feel like in today's world, we spend a lot of time complaining about one another and hating things and bitching and moaning. So just wanted to take a second and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving early and just say how thankful I am and Derek are for having you people to talk to. I mean, it's so cool to think about, the 13 people that download us every week and want to listen to us. No, but in all seriousness, it's super humbling because we never thought we'd be here, or reading our articles online, and providing feedback, even if it's not so nice. So I just wanted to take a second to thank everybody because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be where we are. So happy Thanksgiving and don't expect this soppy crap from me very often.
Yeah, to piggyback on John and to not get too soppy, we are very thankful for the platform that we have, that we can broadcast some hockey to you guys. It's been a ton of fun interacting with you all, and just thank you for following us along this journey and having some fun with us.
Yeah, boy. So you can find me at Pod Street Gove. That's what it is, right? Pod Street Gove.
I believe so.
And and you can find my articles on Philly Sports Network. I just recently put one on talking about how trading Jake Voracek and Shane Gostisbehere is unrealistic. So you can check that out. And yeah, you can find me here, peeps.
And you can find me at Pod Street Bob. You can find all my work at PSN, Philly Sports Network. My latest piece on the 3 stars last week for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. And you can, as always, find us here on the Pod Street Bullies, your favorite Flyers podcast. We all know it is your favorite Flyers podcast. But until next week, folks, you're going to get a groggy Derek coming off of surgery. Let's go Flyers.
Bye now.